Man, was it great growing up in the 70s, especially if you're a hockey fan. Buffalo Sabres, beginning in 1970, coming to Buffalo was probably the biggest thing to happen to sports in a long, long time. Hockey is such a hotbed here in Buffalo. It means so much to so many people. So many kids play hockey. And as kids growing up in that era, there was nothing more important to us than Buffalo Sabres hockey. That first half of the decade of the 1970s was spectacular for Buffalo hockey fans. Even in 1970 and 71, when they struggled, you knew that something big was going to happen with this team. This team was destined to be a great hockey club. And in their third year, they qualified for the playoffs and took eventual Stanley Cup champion Montreal Canadiens to 6 games, which was amazing. An expansion club to be able to do that. In 75, they met the Flyers in the Stanley Cup Finals, the first Stanley Cup final to not have an original 6 team in it in the modern era, which is amazing. 2 expansion clubs, Philadelphia in 67 and Buffalo in 70, met for the Cup in 1975. We know it didn't work out well for Buffalo, losing in 6, but boy, was it a fun ride. It really was. In the next year, 75-76, the team got off to an amazing start. I think they won their first 8 games that year, and were just playing great hockey in the beginning of the year. They kind of lost their step in the middle. But then this game happened on January 4th, 1976, when the Super Series came to North America. And the Sabres drew this team called the Soviet Wings. A lot of experts called the Soviet Wings the B Club. But even a B Club of the Russians in that 1970s era were great hockey players. The best hockey players in the world were from the Soviet Union at that time. The Olympics had become pretty much of a foregone conclusion who was going to win the gold. It was always going to be the Soviets, at least until 1980. But on this day, in January 4th, 1976, the Sabres and the Soviet Wings did battle at the Odd in Buffalo. It was originally scheduled to be a 7 o'clock start, but they moved it up to an afternoon game to accommodate NBC and Hockey Night in Canada, which had this game on. Hockey Night in Canada telecast, still available on YouTube. You can watch it, the full game. It's an amazing offensive output game if you're a Sabres fan. And a Soviet fan, because they scored 6 goals. Sabres scored 12. It was a rout. Sabres got out to a 3-0 lead immediately and dominated the game. And if not for shaky goaltending by Jerry Desjardins in that game, it would have been much worse. Desjardins only had to make 19 saves, let in 6 goals. But the Sabres just absolutely dominated this game from start to finish and manhandled this team 12-6. It's one of the best games that I can remember as a child growing up, just being so fascinated with it, that we were going to play the Russians, that, the team that everybody feared. Nobody really knew anything about these guys. I remember in the Summit Series in 1972 when Canada took them down in 8 games with that Paul Henderson goal, and it was just a miracle to win that for Canada. And I remember being a little kid and being excited, so excited for Canada to win that, because we're so close to Canada, we're on the border, and it was just for us a thrill, even though as Americans we were really pulling for that Canadian squad. And it was really fun to get into hockey at that time. But anyway, this game, like I said, was supposed to be a 7 o'clock start. They did move it up. You can see by the tickets, 7 o'clock. And they did move it up to accommodate the networks. A fun tidbit is Punch Imlach is in the studio for the broadcast. He's giving his analysis of this game in the studio with the Hockey Night in Canada broadcasters, which is really fun, because when does that ever happen, that a general manager is broadcasting one of his team's games, which is kind of neat. But great statistics in this game. Richard Martin was maybe at his best all time in this game, scoring 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. Danny Gare had 2 goals. A dozen different Sabres had points. 9 of them had multiple points. And it was just a great offensive show. Still to this day talked about. Everybody always talks about this game, and it's a lot of fun to remember. I remember the next Sunday, Philadelphia played in the afternoon also. They played the Red Army team. And that was the famous game where Philadelphia played such brutal hockey, such tough hockey that the Russians just skated off the ice. Didn't even want to play anymore. They just quit, which is amazing. I mean, they just didn't like being beat up, and that wasn't the way the Soviets played hockey. But this game was like I said, in Sabres lore, goes down in history as one of the best ever. This is a great item. If you watch the game on YouTube, or if you have it on DVD like I do, in all the games, the teams line up on the blue line before the game starts, and the Sabres line up on their blue line, and the Soviet Wings line up, and they exchange gifts. And this is one of the gifts that the NHL players gave to the Soviet players. And this is one of the gifts that, one of the 20 gifts that were given to the players of the Soviets. I got to imagine some of these were just left sitting in the locker room. I can't imagine the Soviet guys would even care to bring this back, but it's a little glass trophy, and it's very, very desirable in terms of a collectible. And I think it's pretty. I think it's kind of a nice remembrance of that game. And there's, like I said, there's only probably 20 of these around. So maybe more, maybe some, upper management got them and things like that, but I don't know that for a fact. But that's a cool little item. And these buttons are great too. The button on the left is sold at the souvenir stands in the odd, and the button on the right, the red one, was a media press pass button, which is probably very rare. I've only seen this one. It's the only one I've ever seen. So memorabilia from this game goes for a lot of money. The pennants are very desirable. This is one of the pennants that was sold during the game at the odd souvenir stands. And then later on during the season, the Sabres released this updated pennant with the score reflected on it, which is kind of neat. We'll talk more about Sabres hockey, but I thought you guys would get a kick out of seeing some of this stuff from this very legendary game in Buffalo Sabres history. Thanks again for being a member, Buffalo Sports Museum. We love doing these In the Vault episodes. And again, you guys are coming through. I'm getting some great messages and great feedback. And thank you for all those people that sent messages. I really enjoy doing these, and I love to see people reminisce about Sabres hockey. Anyway, have a great night. Sabres 12, Wings 6, January 4th, 1976. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.